Hi guys, how are you doing? I hope all of you are doing well and you're safe. In today's video, I would like to share a finding that I published in my recent Turkish translation of the Quran. And just I would like to share with you. It's about the Kaaba according to the Quran. Now, as you know, I am defending that the today's Islamic beliefs are way different than what the religion is in the Quran, the description of the religion in the Quran. And there are a lot of rituals, beliefs, practices that is not in the Quran. So Islam as religion uses the Quran and the Hadith books, which are written after at least 230 years after Muhammad's death. So, in that sense, Islam is a religion that inherited a lot of dogmas and practices from other religions, and one of them should be, for example, Zoroastrianism. So from that perspective, we analyze every single thing in the Quran when we take the Quran only sola scriptura methodology or Quran only methodology. We try to understand the Quranic verses according to the Quran and according to the logic instead of taking account the Hadith books. And also we need to see the Old Testament as well to try to understand some Quranic verses that is difficult if we don't have the base in the Old Testament. So we are going to go in that direction to understand this topic. So after today's presentation, there will be some implications and suggestions, and I would like to anticipate these implications and suggestions and then start to build what we are going to see. So the first implication and suggestion is that the Kaaba of the Quran is not as it is today. So I'm going to share some photographs of the Kaaba. You know, the Kaaba of the Islamic world is located in Saudi Arabia. Is a cubic stone fixed structure that is there. So according to the Quran, according to what I'm going to share, the arguments that I will share with you, and I'm open to any kind of discussions. And this is a very peaceful discussion trying to find the truth. So according to this finding, the Kaaba is not as it is today, is something different. And the second implication and suggestion is that the Kaaba is not necessarily located in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Now, this video is not about trying to argument that the Kaaba of the Quran was in Petra or in Saudi Arabia or any other city within the Middle East. I will not argue against that. I will not argue that it could be Petra, it could be Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter. But the implication that the Kaaba is not necessarily that stone structure that we used to see in Saudi Arabia, the implication is that the Kaaba of the Quran is not necessarily located in one place. In other words, the Kaaba of the Quran is a portable tent. Is a portable tent according to the Quran, according to the information that I'm going to show to you within the Quran and the context within the Old Testament, and actually the very Arabic word that is written in the Quran when is describing the Kaaba. All right. So this is the photograph of the current Kaaba, current Islamic belief that how Kaaba is in Saudi Arabia. It is a stone structure. The clothes that it has is not original. They put over there. They change But the actual structure is stone fixed on the ground structure that is in Saudi Arabia, in the city of Mecca. And that city, that name, is not necessarily an old name of that place. That's another thing. But that's not the topic of today. So according to this argumentation, this is not the Kaaba of the Quran, and this is, for example, another Kaaba is KAABA ya Zardosht, which is located in Iran. The Islamic Kaaba, stone cubical structure, very likely to be copied the Zoroastrian Kaaba, which is built before Muhammad's birth in Iran. That's another thing. You can find this on the internet. So according to what I'm going to share you, is the Kaaba of the Quran is this tent that you can see, and is if you know the Jewish religion or the Old Testament, what tabernacle is. Actually, the Kaaba of the Quran is exactly the same tabernacle that is described in the Old Testament, that it was a place for Moses and his believers to to get united and worship God. All right. Now, I will first share with you the Quranic chapter 2, the verse number 144, the half part of this chapter, because there is a clue, in my opinion, is very, very important clue. It suggests when the verse number 144 of chapter 2 is talking about the Masjid al-Haram, which is the Kaaba, Masjid al-Haram, it suggests that once the believers will turn to Masjid al-Haram, that thing, when the people of the book, which is Jewish and Christians, when they see it, will have a reaction. And the Quranic verse says, those who were given the scripture, so Jewish and Christians, certainly know this to be the truth from their Lord. This information that I'm giving you, God says to Muhammad, now turn your face to Masjid al-Haram. So this order comes from God. So those who were giving the scripture, so Jewish and Christians, when you see you turning to Masjid al-Haram, they will certainly notice that this actually is something that comes from the Lord. This is a truth coming from the Lord. Now, this is a very important sentence in the Quran. It's a very important clue, because I'm going to explain why. If you let's put your shoes on a Jewish person or Jewish people that lived in Muhammad's era, and they see Muhammad turning to Saudi Arabia. I'm just trying to make you put an image in front of your eyes, how the current Islamic belief is in contradiction with this verse. So according to the Islamic belief is that Muhammad, instead of turning to Masjid al-Aqsa, which is in Jerusalem, he turns to Saudi Arabia. So if you were a Jew in that time, and if you see this, not only you would say, this is coming from the truth, but you would say this is comes from Satan. This is evil, because Mecca, Saudi Arabia, for Jewish people doesn't mean anything at that time. They only believed in what they had in their scripture and Jerusalem, the center of the religion. So this is in contradiction. So a Jew in the time of Prophet Muhammad, if Jews seeing Prophet Muhammad turn into other direction to Saudi Arabia, they would say this is exactly what God doesn't want to be happening. But the Quran says when Muhammad turns to Masjid al-Haram, it is a demonstration for Jews that it is actually coming from God. So how this could be possible? All right. So in order to understand this, I will show different Quranic verses when the word Masjid al-Haram appears. We will try to understand the context of Masjid al-Haram in order to understand the chapter 2 and verse number 144. All right. To understand that, we need to go to the chapter number 17, verse number 1. Traditionally, this verse is being called Isra, and I would say easily this chapter is about Israel, because if you read the entire chapter, is talking about Israel, how Moses got the revelation from God, and he explained it to his people, and then Jews just did bad things and God punished them, and etc. All the things that we already know. And the chapter and the verse number 1, according to the Islam, is talking about the Miraj of the Prophet Muhammad when he supposedly went to heaven in his own life, sitting on the buraq, which is an animal. In just one night, he went supposedly from Saudi Arabia to Jerusalem, which is impossible to have that travel, to make it in just one night in 1500 years ago. And then according to that, he goes to heaven with the buraq, with that animal, is like a horse, and talked to God, and then visited the heaven, and then went to the hell and see the punishment of the people, and turned back to heaven and talked to God and negotiated the 5 prayers, because it's supposed to be 50 prayers a day. And then he negotiated with God, went down, and Moses told him to go back. What are you talking about? 50 is too much for you. And he goes back and he negotiates with God like 5 or 6 times, until God says 5 times prayer. This is how Islamic religion believe, how they had 5 time prayers a day. So this is the context of the Islamic version of the chapter number 17, verse number 1. Actually, this belief is in Zoroastrianism, and Zoroastrianism is a religion that is being created 1000 years before Islam. And if you read the book of Zoroastrianism, which is Ardaviraf, you see how Zoroaster goes to heaven, talks to God Ahura Mazda, and then he visits the heaven, and then goes to hell and see the hell and the punishment that the people received over there, turns back to talk with God Ahura Mazda, and then turns back to our world. So it is the same exact copy of the event that is written 1,000 years before the Quran. So it is very likely that this history was copied from Islamic scholars after Muhammad's death in order to create a miracle which is not taken in place, or in order to understand maybe the verse number 17, chapter 1, or create the context where the 5-time prayer revealed to Prophet Muhammad that time. All right. So it is this verse. It says, "Exalted is the one who took his servant by night from Al Masjid Al Haram to Al Masjid Al Aqsa, whose surroundings we have blessed, to show him some of our signs." Again, so exalted is the one, God, exalted the one, God, who took his servant, and this is the Quranic verse doesn't say that this servant is Muhammad. It only says his servant. But if you read the Quranic translations today, you're going to see like Muhammad, because that's the interpretation. But the manuscript, the original verse, doesn't have the name Muhammad here. It says, "Exalted the one who took his servant by night from" where? From Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa. From Masjid al-Aqsa, whose surroundings we have blessed. So according to this verse, the place, the blessed place, the surroundings is Masjid al-Aqsa and not Masjid al-Haram. So this is the second clue, and it's very, very, very important, because according to Islam, Saudi Arabia, Mecca, and the Masjid al-Haram that Muslims call to that place Masjid al-Haram is the blessed place. But in this verse, it says, God, whoever is this servant, took this servant to one place to another. So the first place is Al-Masjid al-Haram. To where? To Masjid al-Aqsa, whose surroundings we have blessed. So it is suggesting that the blessed place is Masjid al-Aqsa and not Masjid al-Haram. And this is very important, and this is huge. Why? Imagine I tell you, or someone else tells you, say, hey, whatever your name is, John. Hey, John, today we are going to go from your house to that beautiful house, that blessed house. What would you think as John? You would say, okay, so he's telling me that we're going to leave my house in order to go to a beautiful house, to a blessed house. So you can deduct that your house is not beautiful, is not blessed. This is exactly what happens in the Quran in this chapter, and I am going to explain why. I'm going to explain why. I please want you to stay until the end of this video. So, Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa, whose surroundings we have blessed. So according to the Islamic teaching, this can't be happening. This is another contradiction, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. When the Jewish people say that this is a demonstration that this God comes from God. That's another contradiction. And this is the second contradiction. For what? To show him some of our signs. Now, who is this verse talking about? If you read the chapter 17, you're going to see that the next verse, 17:2, is Moses. And it says, we gave Moses the book and the knowledge. And it continues with Israel, what happened to son of Israel. The context is Moses. And this particular travel journey is what it is described right after the chapter 17, which is chapter 18. You can see how God prepares the people that is reading these verses to the next chapter, and it's preparing to the journey that Moses takes with a young person and a mysterious person that shows him a lot of God's signs. And that starts in chapter 18, verse number 60. To show him some of our signs. You see the journey that Moses takes, how he goes in a desert with that young person, and then he just in front of him appears one mysterious person, and he says, I want to follow you because I want to acquire knowledge from you. So that is precisely the context of the verse number 1 of the chapter 17. Is not talking about a supposed Muhammad's miracle, which is completely out of context. Is a copy of what Zoroaster supposedly did 1,000 years ago. And now, once we understand that this is about Moses, then we can understand what's going on with Masjid al-Haram, the place that Masjid al-Haram is placed, is not blessed. Why? If you read the chapter, the Exodus, the book of Exodus in the Old Testament, you are going to see that there is a tent of tabernacle, which can be built in different places. So Moses built the tent of tabernacle, and it was a portable tent. You see that tent, that tabernacle, how Israelites take it from the ground and put in another place. And in the Old Testament, you have the description of how that tent should be made. Is a portable tent. You can see Exodus chapter 35 as well as Joshua chapter 18, when they precisely took that tent and replaced it in another place. So they moved the surroundings of Masjid al-Haram, as it is a portable tent, is not blessed, but the surroundings of Jerusalem is blessed, according to the Quran, according to this verse, and according to the entire religion of God that starts with the Old Testament. Because the Quran, according to the Quran, confirms Old Testament's God, Old Testament's prophet, and Old Testament sacred places. And actually, Bakka, not Mecca. Bakka is in Jerusalem. And that is the first place when Abraham, according to the Quran, built the first building dedicated to God. Not in Mecca, which is starts with M. In the Quran says to the place, to the Beit that Abraham built with his son, with Ismail, is in Becca, which is in Jerusalem. Muhammad was from Mecca, yes, but not Becca. and Mecca is an Saudi Arabia. That's not my point. It could be another place, and I think it's Petra, but that's not today's point. Today's point is that this Masjid al-Haram, which is mentioned in the Quran, is a portable tent, and its surroundings are not blessed. That is precisely why in this particular verse, God, who written this verse, gives the clue. Okay, now we understand, if you follow me, the context of Masjid al-Haram in the Quran, we understand that is not a fixed place, is a tent. Now let's move forward with the verse number 144 of the chapter 2. It says, "Indeed, we see you turning your face to the sky." Now, if you read the traditional translations, you're going to see a lot of words that is not appear in this in this verse. For example, the word towards normally doesn't appear. Actually, let me show you a traditional translation. And now I'm anticipating one thing, which is the word shatra. Shatra is very, very important clue, the third clue, and is maybe the most important clue what we are talking about for in this topic. So this suggests this traditional translation, as you can see, Quran.com, suggests that shatra is towards the direction. But if you see the first sentence here, it says, "We see you, O Prophet, turning your face towards heaven." It shows also towards here. So supposedly here in the first sentence, قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلَّبُ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ. There is the towards, it uses the word fi, and then to say another time towards, they use the word shatara, which doesn't mean towards in Arabic language. It doesn't mean, and it's the only time that appears in this context, shatara. There is no other shatara in the Quran except the a couple of times that is mentioned to Masjid al-Haram, and we're going to see why. We're going to see why. So, as you can see, and this following traditional translation says, "Now we will make you turn towards a direction of prayer that will please you." Who Dr. Mustafa Khattab. He uses another towards, and here فَلَنُوَلِّيَنَّكَ قِبْلَةً تَرْضَاهَا. So you pleases you qiblatan, direction of prayer, and there is no towards. So this shatra again is not here, but he uses towards. The reason that I'm showing this to you is to show you, to demonstrate that shatara is not towards. You don't need shatara here. Okay, and we're going to see what shatara means. Okay, so the verse says, indeed we see you turning your face to the sky. Samai, heaven, sky. Now, we will make you turn to a direction, qibla, turn to tawalla, to a direction. I'm not putting any verse between words here, that will please you. Now, we will make you turn to a direction that will please you. Now, the critical sentence. So, turn your face to the sacred mosque tent. So turn your face to the sacred mosque tent, the tent of the sacred mosque. فَوَلَّ, again, turn وَجْهَكَ, your face, turn your face to شطر المسجد الحرام. Shatral. My friends, Shatra, the word Shatra, is not an originally Arabic word. Shatra is the exact same word of tent in Sanskrit, which is Shatra. The exact same verse from the Sanskrit, and that means tent. Literally, it literally means tent. And that is the exact same word that Farsi language inherited from Sanskrit as çadır. And the Turkish language as well, if you know Turkish, you're going to say çadır. And it sounds like ç. And Farsi is çadır. But since the Arabic language doesn't have, so, and shatra means tent, since the Arabic language doesn't have the phonema ç, it is sh. So it is exactly as it is in Sanskrit, which means tent. So in Farsi language, in Turkish language, as it is in Sanskrit and Arabic, the word shatr or çadır means tent. Precisely, turn your face to the sacred mosque tent, or the tent of the sacred mosque is precisely the context of the chapter 2, verse number 144. And the next verse says, and wherever, because it says where, and wherever you are, O believers, plural, turn your faces to the tent. And now the other part of the verse says, those who were given the scripture certainly know this to be the truth coming from their Lord, because they see that the first believers of the Quran placing a sacred tent as Moses did in the past, as it is described in the Old Testament. Now we can understand why the Jewish people, the Christians, says, hey, actually this is what they're doing is coming from the Lord, is the truth. Look at the tent. So imagine the contradiction. Understanding in an Islamic way originates a contradiction, but understanding as this way explains why Jewish people and Christians said when they saw Muhammad and first believers to face the tent, the sacred tent, because they saw that was precisely what is written in the scripture. That is why they said, and that is why actually the surroundings of the Masjid al-Haram is not blessed, but the surroundings of Masjid al-Aqsa is blessed, because it's portable. It is portable. The KAABA of the Quran, the Shatr al-Masjid al-Haram, precisely means the sacred tent. According to the linguistics, according to the context in the Quran, and according to the historical context of the Old Testament. So this is what I wanted to share with you. The word shatra in Sanskrit means literally tent. In Farsi language, its version in Farsi is çadır, means tent. In Turkish language, çadır is tent. and the Arabic language is shatra as Sanskrit, not chatter, because the Arabic language doesn't have the phoneme ch. I hope I could explain. If you have other things to add to my comments, or maybe argue against what I'm saying, please put your opinion below the video. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Be safe. See you hopefully in the next video. Bye bye.